Snake across the ocean in broad daylight. Hello, knowledge discoverers. In the next videos, we are going to make acquaintances with 36 stratagems. We are going to see how these stratagems help us to fight back with misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. First things first, what is a stratagem? Stratagem. Noun, a scheme or maneuver designed to achieve an objective, as in surprising an enemy or deceiving someone. Synonym, while. What you frequently observe, you tend not to question, and what is known can become dull, serving as an ideal disguise for the strange and surprising. According to the story, Emperor Taizong of Tang was reluctant to cross the sea for a military campaign against Goguryeo due to his fear of seasickness. To help him, General Zhu Rengui came up with a clever strategy. On a sunny day, the emperor was invited to meet a wise man. They entered a dark tunnel that led to a hall where they feasted for several days. Eventually, the emperor heard the sound of waves and realized he had been tricked onto a ship. General Zhu opened the curtains to reveal the ocean and confessed they were already sailing. Faced with this situation, the emperor decided to proceed with the journey as they had already come so far and later achieved great success in the campaign. This strategy allows you to conceal your true intention by employing the trick of a false target that everyone assumes is real. Tactically, this is referred to as the open feint. In plain sight, you gesture towards the west, while your actual objective lies in the east. For instance, a goalkeeper facing a penalty kick often positions themselves to one side, effectively encouraging the opposing player to shoot towards an open area, when in reality, the goalkeeper swiftly reacts and shifts to that very spot the instant the shot is made, thereby preventing the goal. Modern examples of sneak across the ocean in broad daylight. DHL's Trojan horse during the 1980s and 1990s, courier battles against state postal monopolies in numerous countries, particularly in Europe and Latin America. Only the National Postal Service was permitted to deliver letters. Competitors were prohibited. DHL's approach: they openly entered these nations with their bright yellow planes during the day, unloading large quantities of packages at major airports right in front of customs and postal officials. They labeled the shipments as urgent documents or printed matter, which was technically permissible due to certain loopholes, and utilized their own bright yellow vans for citywide deliveries. Everyone noticed them, but since it resembled standard international express courier operations, which were already prevalent for parcels, governments failed to recognize that DHL was methodically undermining the letter monopoly until it was too late. Corporate illustration: Tesla's stealth rollout of the Model 3 deposits, 2016. Elon Musk shared on Twitter that Tesla would start taking $1,000 refundable deposits for a car that had yet to be created, beginning the next day. Lines stretched around the block at Tesla locations in full view, covered by all media channels. Tesla amassed more than $400 million in cash over a single weekend, with no conventional fundraising or regulatory submissions, as they were refundable reservations. Wall Street was taken by surprise. It marked the largest capital raise in automotive history, carried out completely in public view. To utilize the age-old tactic of Mian Tianguo Hai, disguising audacious actions in plain sight by making them appear commonplace and non-threatening, in the contemporary fight against misinformation, we need a systematic approach. Assuming formation indicates a strategic framework based on the context of tactics. This isn't about disseminating lies but about leveraging the principle defensively, to overcome misinformation campaigns, recognize them early, and combat them successfully. Here is a three-phase framework influenced by the strategy. Phase 1: defeat misinformation, proactive neutralization. The objective here is to stop misinformation from taking hold by crossing the ocean, meaning embedding safeguards in visible, everyday channels that bad actors often overlook as harmless. Incorporate watermarks and traceability in content platforms. Prominent social media and news aggregators could openly adopt routine features like AI-generated content labels or metadata tags, for instance, C2PA standards for image authenticity. These may look like minor UI updates or user experience improvements, but they effectively create a network of traceability. Misinformers keep posting as usual, unaware that their fabricated content is now easily flagged in bulk during viral spikes. For instance, platforms like X or Meta could deploy enhanced sharing tools that subtly add origin data, making deepfakes obvious without overt censorship. Public awareness campaigns as Trojan horses. Governments or NGOs could launch extensive, harmless PSAs about media literacy, like school programs or app notifications. These seem educational and non-confrontational, but they are infused with tools like browser extensions or apps that automatically cross-reference claims against fact-check databases. The tactic is clever. misinformation spreads freely, but users' habits gradually shift, limiting its amplification. This phase triumphs through normalization, making verification so routine that misinformation gets submerged in a sea of verified facts. Phase 2, detection, early warning in plain sight. Detection shifts the strategy inward. Develop monitoring tools that are so well integrated and apparent that they are overlooked as background noise, allowing you to recognize patterns without alerting wrongdoers. Open source monitoring dashboards. Organizations like fact-checking networks, such as Pointer or Full Fact, could manage public, real-time dashboards that monitor trending topics. These resemble standard analytics, like Top Stories Tracker, but internally they employ algorithms to identify clusters of anomalies, sudden increases in similar phrases across accounts, or mismatches in geolocation. Malicious actors view it as harmless data visualization, yet it flags coordinated campaigns early, akin to how Russia's 2024 election interference was detected through open tweet analysis. Crowdsourced community notes expansion. Platforms enhance features like X's community notes or Reddit's upvote systems to include subtle AI-assisted prompts. For instance, does this seem off? Add context. It is presented as empowering users, but it openly aggregates signals, identifying misinformation bubbles. The key point: no flashy alerts, just gradual, visible community contributions that create a detection network without alarming observers. By operating in broad daylight, public tools, no secrecy, detection becomes sustainable. Those spreading misinformation adapt to ignore it, failing to see how it evolves to catch them. Phase 3, counterattack, subtle offensive strategy. Here, we employ the strategy in an offensive yet ethical manner. Initiate responses that seem ordinary but effectively dismantle the narrative. Enhance corrective narratives through mainstream platforms. Rather than engaging in direct confrontations, introduce accurate information through routine channels such as sponsored content or collaborations with influencers. For instance, during a surge of health misinformation, like vaccine myths, health organizations collaborate with popular podcasts for general wellness episodes that casually refute these claims. It resembles typical content marketing, yet it represents a strategic deluge that overwhelms the false narrative without appearing as a battle. Regulatory updates as tactical moves. Policymakers implement minor policy adjustments, for example, the EU's DSA transparency requirements that compel platforms to publicly disclose ad targeting data. This may seem bureaucratic and unremarkable, but it reveals the backers of misinformation, such as state actors, by making their activities traceable. The counteraction occurs indirectly. Public reports generated from this data can lead to deplatforming, all while appearing as standard compliance. In this phase, the counterattack is wise in practical affairs by being overt. Responses merge into the background noise, undermining credibility without escalating tensions. Overall strengths and risks of this framework. Strengths. The framework is designed to be scalable and low friction. It makes use of existing systems, like APIs and public data, to reduce resistance. It supports democratic values by focusing on transparency rather than control. Risks. An excessive reliance on openness could lead to problems if those spreading misinformation adjust, such as by copying routine behaviors. Ethical challenges include the possibility of overreach in labeling, so it's crucial to implement oversight mechanisms like independent audits. Metrics for success. Keep track of the decrease in virality, for instance, through engagement metrics, and conduct surveys on public trust. Be ready to adapt as strategies evolve in the changing environment. Practical illustrations of the three-phase framework in use. Phase 1, addressing misinformation, proactive neutralization. This phase is dedicated to embedding protective measures within everyday communication channels, making verification a standard practice, and preventing misinformation from gaining a foothold. By presenting these as innocuous enhancements, they effectively lower defenses and cultivate resilience ahead of time. Google's debunking campaigns, e.g., inoculation videos. In collaboration with researchers, Google introduced short, animated videos on YouTube between 2022 and 2024, with further expansion in 2025, that clarify common misinformation strategies like scapegoating and false dichotomies. These videos are designed to look like regular educational ads or recommended content, blending seamlessly into users' feeds. Users engage with them casually, unknowingly building immunity to manipulation as a defense mechanism. This approach successfully countered waves of election-related misinformation in the EU and US by normalizing critical thinking, resulting in a reduction of false claims shared by up to 30% in the tested groups. The strategy is evident. The videos are widely available on a large platform, appearing as routine public service announcements, yet they systematically dismantle misinformation before it can spread. Phase 2, detection, early warning in plain sight. In this phase, tools are presented as analytics or community features, which enables the early identification of patterns while being perceived as non-threatening background elements. Hamilton 2 dashboard by the Alliance for Securing Democracy. Introduced in 2017 and set to be updated until 2025, this open-source tool monitors state-sponsored disinformation from entities like Russia and China across social media and news platforms. It functions as a standard public dashboard featuring graphs and trends, but its algorithms are designed to identify coordinated inauthentic behavior, for instance, amplified narratives during the 2024 US elections. By maintaining transparency, it was able to flag Russian bots that were promoting election fraud claims early on, facilitating swift responses without raising alarms within the networks. The framework is effective, it's fully visible, accessible to everyone for free, yet malicious actors tend to disregard it as innocuous data, which allows for ongoing surveillance. Phase 3, fight back counter-offensive with subtlety. This phase focuses on launching responses through typical channels, subtly undermining false narratives by promoting corrections as regular content. Who's go viral, game and infodemic management, during the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond, updated in 2025 for Mpox outbreaks, who introduced an online game designed to help players recognize misinformation tactics, shared through social media and apps. It seems like a fun and educational activity, but it acts as a counter-offensive that spreads accurate information. In partnership with the UK, it effectively reduced belief in vaccine myths by casually engaging users, overwhelming disinformation without direct confrontation. The tactic, it is shared openly, even going viral, appearing harmless, yet it dismantles campaigns by fostering user agency. Canada's fact-based counter to Russian disinformation on Ukraine. Since 2022, Global Affairs Canada has been issuing clear fact sheets that debunk Kremlin lies about the invasion, shared through government websites and social media. In 2025, in the context of increasing hybrid warfare, these fact sheets were presented as routine diplomatic updates but flooded narratives with evidence, working with media to amplify their impact. This strategy weakened the credibility of propaganda in allied nations without escalating to bans.